cursed whispers of the abandoned farm. The abandoned farm stood in solemn silence, its decaying structures casting long shadows in the dying light of the day. We were drawn to it, my friends and I, like moths to a flame. The stories surrounding the place were unsettling. A family had once lived here, but they vanished without a trace, leaving behind a legacy of fear and mystery. One crisp autumn afternoon, we gathered at the edge of the overgrown path that led to the farm. The wind whispered through the tall grass, carrying with it a sense of unease. Sarah, Mark, Alex, and I exchanged nervous glances, but our youthful curiosity outweighed our apprehension. "I dare you to go inside, Mike," Alex said with a mischievous grin, nudging me playfully. I rolled my eyes but couldn't resist the challenge. With a forced bravado, I led the way, pushing open the rusty gate. The hinges squealed in protest, like a mournful cry echoing through the desolate landscape. We stepped onto the cracked, uneven path, our footsteps stirring up clouds of dust. Sarah's flashlight cut through the gathering darkness, casting eerie shadows on the dilapidated barn ahead. Inside the barn, the air was thick with the scent of decay and memories long forgotten. We explored the space cautiously, our flashlights revealing rusted tools, broken furniture, and faded photographs of the family that once lived there. It was as if time had stopped, leaving behind a frozen tableau of lives abruptly interrupted. As we ventured deeper into the barn, our laughter grew hushed, replaced by a growing sense of foreboding. The atmosphere was heavy, as if the walls themselves were burdened with the weight of the past. Mark's voice trembled as he spoke, breaking the silence. "Guys, this place gives me the creeps." Sarah glanced around, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and fascination. "Yeah, maybe we should head back." Just as we turned to leave, a faint whisper drifted through the air, a haunting murmur that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Our breath caught in our throats and we exchanged bewildered glances. "Did you guys hear that?" Alex's voice wavered. A shiver ran down my spine as another whisper followed, growing louder this time, a cacophony of disjointed words that sounded like they were in a language I couldn't understand. Panic seized me, and I stumbled back, my heart racing. "We need to go, now," I urged, my voice quivering. As we hurried out of the barn, the whispers seemed to chase us, echoing in our ears. But when we reached the gate, I realized that someone was missing. Alex. Frantic, we called out his name, our voices shaky and desperate. There was no response, only the haunting sound of the wind through the trees. "Where is he?" Sarah's voice cracked, tears glistening in her eyes. We scoured the area, our flashlights cutting through the darkness like desperate beacons. But Alex was nowhere to be found. The shadows seemed to close in around us, the farm taking on a malevolent energy that was impossible to ignore. "We have to leave and get help," Mark suggested, his voice strained. We stumbled back to the edge of the path, our fear giving us newfound strength. But as we reached the gate, a bone-chilling scream pierced the air, a sound so raw and terrified that it sent chills down my spine. It was Alex's voice, coming from somewhere within the farm. Without a second thought, we rushed back toward the barn, our flashlights trembling in our hands. The whispers grew louder, their voices a twisted chorus of torment. As we entered the barn, we saw something that would forever haunt our nightmares. Alex standing in the center of the room, his eyes vacant, his body trembling as if possessed. "Alex!" Sarah cried out, her voice a mixture of relief and horror. But he didn't respond. Instead, he turned toward us, his lips parting to release a guttural sound that wasn't his own voice. The whispers reached a fever pitch, filling the air with a cacophony of dread. And then, with a sudden, violent movement, Alex lunged at us. We scrambled to escape, fear propelling us out of the barn and back onto the path. We didn't stop running until we were back at the entrance gate, our chests heaving, our minds racing to comprehend the unimaginable. We never saw Alex again. The authorities searched the farm, but there was no trace of him. The whispers that haunted the place seemed to have claimed him, a sacrifice to the darkness that dwelled within those decaying walls. To this day, the memory of that fateful afternoon still haunts me. The abandoned farm stands as a grim reminder of the unfathomable horrors that can lurk in the places we dare to explore. And the friend we lost serves as a chilling testament to the price of our insatiable curiosity. Hope you're not too rattled, because next up we have Entering of the Demon's Domain. The moon hung low in the sky, casting a pale glow over the crumbling facade of the abandoned mansion. Its once grandeur was now reduced to decay, the windows shattered, and the walls covered in ivy and memories of the past. I stood at the entrance, heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The stories about this place were infamous. The mansion was said to be haunted by a malevolent demon that fed on the fear of those who dared to enter. My friends and I had always been drawn to the macabre, seeking thrills in the unknown. With flashlights in hand, we ventured into the mansion's dark interior, the air heavy with dust and the scent of age. The grand foyer greeted us with a shattered chandelier, its crystal shards scattered across the floor like fragments of forgotten dreams. Nervous laughter echoed through the hallway as we explored the first floor. The walls were adorned with faded paintings, their subjects staring back at us with empty eyes. The floorboards creaked beneath our feet as if whispering secrets of the past. My heart raced as I led the group toward the grand staircase that spiraled upward into darkness. "Think there's really a demon here?" Jenna's voice trembled. I tried to brush off her question with a smirk. "Probably just urban legends. Don't let your imagination run wild." As we ascended the staircase, a chill seemed to seep into the very bones of the mansion. The air grew colder and the atmosphere shifted from curiosity to something more ominous. Our footsteps echoed through the corridor as we reached the second floor, our flashlights revealing long-abandoned rooms filled with broken furniture and forgotten relics. The air was thick with tension, and the unease in our group was palpable. As we moved further into the mansion, a low rumble vibrated through the walls, as if the very foundation of the place was protesting our presence. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching us, lurking just beyond our line of sight. A door at the end of the corridor beckoned to us, its darkness a stark contrast to the dim light that filtered through the windows. Jenna hesitated, her hand on the doorknob, her breath shaky. "Come on, Jenna. Don't tell me you're scared now," Jake teased, though his bravado was strained. With a deep breath, Jenna pushed open the door, revealing a room that seemed to defy the laws of space. It was vast, its walls adorned with intricate symbols that seemed to writhe and pulse. In the center of the room stood a grotesque statue, its form a twisted combination of human and beast, its eyes glowing with an unholy light. My heart raced as a sense of dread washed over me. It was then that I saw it. A figure standing beside the statue, its form shifting and contorting, as if reality itself couldn't quite contain it. The demon stood before us, its features both terrifying and mesmerizing. A maw of jagged teeth, eyes like pools of darkness, and limbs that moved with unnatural fluidity. My friends and I stood frozen in terror, our flashlights trembling in our hands. The demon's voice slithered into our minds, a symphony of whispers that filled us with an overwhelming sense of dread. "You've come to play in my domain," it hissed, its words like daggers. Panic surged within me, urging me to flee, but I couldn't tear my gaze away from the demon's hypnotic eyes. Its laughter echoed through the room, a haunting sound that seemed to reverberate within my very soul. "Leave this place, mortals, or become my playthings," the demon's voice resonated, its power overwhelming. With a surge of courage, I managed to tear my eyes away, my body moving of its own accord. I grabbed my friend's arms and we stumbled out of the room, the demon's laughter following us like a haunting melody. As we rushed down the corridor and back toward the entrance, the mansion seemed to convulse around us, as if the very walls were alive with malevolence. We burst out of the mansion, gasping for breath, the night air a welcome reprieve from the horrors we had witnessed. We didn't look back, knowing that whatever lurked within those walls was beyond our understanding. Finally, we have echoes of the haunting asylum. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the desolate landscape. The abandoned asylum loomed before me, its once imposing facade now a crumbling remnant of forgotten horrors. I shivered, both from the chill in the air and the weight of unease that settled in my chest. My friends and I had always sought out the thrill of the unknown, and this decaying asylum was the pinnacle of our daredevil escapades. As we approached the entrance, the wind whispered through broken windows, as if urging us to turn back. But the allure of the forbidden was too strong to resist. We stepped inside, our footsteps echoing through the silent corridors. Graffiti-covered walls told stories of those who had come before us, seeking their own brand of adventure. But curiosity and a shared sense of bravado held us in place. We followed the sound, our flashlights guiding us down a dim hallway. The laughter led us to a door, partially ajar, and as we pushed it open, our breath caught in our throats. The room beyond was frozen in time. Faded wallpaper peeled from the walls and a collection of dusty toys littered the floor. But what caught our attention was the figure standing by the window. A young girl in a tattered dress, her back turned to us. Her laughter had ceased, replaced by an unsettling silence. "Hey, are you okay?" Jenna's voice was barely above a whisper. The girl's head twitched to the side as if acknowledging our presence without turning around. A shiver ran down my spine as she finally spoke, her voice a haunting whisper that seemed to come from all directions at once. "Play with me." A sense of dread washed over me, the air growing colder with each passing second. The room seemed to close in around us, the walls pulsating with a sinister energy. I glanced at my friends, their expressions a mixture of fear and confusion. "We should go," I managed to choke out, my voice betraying the terror I felt. As we turned to leave, a sudden gust of wind extinguished our flashlights, plunging us into total darkness. Panic surged within us and I fumbled for the exit, desperate to escape the grasp of whatever haunted that room. In the pitch-black hallway, the girl's voice whispered around us, a haunting chant that seemed to seep into our very souls. I could feel her presence behind me, her breath cold against my neck. My heart pounded in my chest as I fumbled for my flashlight, finally managing to flick it back on. And there she stood, inches from me, her face pale and eyes vacant, her laughter now a haunting melody that reverberated through the asylum. Before I could react, she reached out, her icy fingers brushing against my arm. A surge of fear coursed through me and I tore myself away from her grasp, stumbling backward. My friends were already at the entrance, their faces white with terror. I sprinted after them, the girl's laughter echoing in my ears, a symphony of torment. We burst out of the asylum, gasping for breath, our bodies drenched in cold sweat. As we caught our breath, we exchanged shaken glances, each of us knowing that we had experienced something beyond explanation. Well, that just about does it for today's stories, and I hope to see you again soon.